You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Welcome to another episode of The Forecast with myself, Wilkes, and A-Trap. Man, keep on a serious note, Doc is going through some family things, so definitely keep him in your prayers, and he'll be back sooner rather than later.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, glad to be back on. Man, this one is powerful. If you have not seen this yet, I would highly recommend it. It is called Rob Peace. It is available on YouTube, also on Amazon, and that's what we'll be reviewing tonight. Recommended by Wilkes, man. Shout out to Wilkes on that one, man. This is crazy, and this is right up our alley. A lot of great storylines.
I have to say, I do love some. When I see Sundance or IFC tied to something, I love some independent movies. I've always been into the independent art. That's just independent. That's my lane right there, because I feel like they have no restrictions. They can just kind of try to cut loose and go. But it caught my attention quickly, and I'm just like, man, this is
and it's based on a true story, so that's something else we could all appreciate. But let me pull the graphic up. We got Jay Will. He's also in Tulsa King. Some people may know him from that. Mary J. Blige, Ejiofor. He's been in a ton of things. You can see him down in the bottom right. And then Camelia Cabello, who's actually an artist. I didn't know she was acting. So, man, this is a lot of very, very deep. Like, you're not going to watch this and come away from it and not gain something from it, or not feel for everyone in the film. And Rob Peace himself. But let's kind of go around the room. Wilkes, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Doing all right. I had to kind of cram this one in because, man, I was dead tired last night, and I let it creep up on me. I should have watched. I usually watch my shows Saturday morning. I get up early before I do yard work, if I got yard work on the list. But did not get to it, and it was like 11:30. I was still crying after the 49ers and Chiefs game, but after that, it's good.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I mean, I just finished it probably about 20 minutes ago. I mean, so I was definitely cramming, but it was well worth all of the time of this film. A-Trap.
Oh man, it was an excellent film. No cramming for me. I do my homework. I'm just glad. It was just I had some free time, and I have a ton of free time, to be perfectly honest. Well, that's why I'm always on air.
Use that time. That's using your time wisely, man.
Indeed.
It was an excellent film. I really enjoyed it. I like the term. I like the adjective Wilkes used. Powerful. It was extremely powerful. I saw this. I lived some of this. I've lived some of this, and from different perspectives. I've seen it was just a wonderful situation. So. And as Wilkes said, I don't know if Wilkes said it on air or we was in when we were having our pre-show fist fight. This is something that you can relate to on so many different levels, of so many tentacles in regards to this. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it had a lot of rabbit holes on this one.
Yeah. It definitely went a lot of different ways. But I think we could all relate to it. We probably all have known someone that might have been in this type of situation, or someone that,
I mean, it's like
you've seen with a ton of potential, but end up making some bad choices.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it went from the justice system to higher education to it could all be taken away in a blink. I mean, it was, and then then the health scare comes in, and I mean, it's just a lot happening.
Right.
And Mary J. Blige, which I don't know if they really got into it, but I don't know how many jobs she was holding down, but she was obviously working hard, coming home at night, trying
it
to
was
hold
like
it
3
together.
at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So just to give kind of the storyline, Jay Will plays Rob Peace. Rob Peace is an individual, a young man, grew up in East Orange, New Jersey. His mom is played by Mary J. Blige, which her acting level is, I know she was in Power. To be honest, I never watched Power. My apologies to all the Power fans, but
I didn't watch it.
watching her in this, her acting is continued to get better, and also I think she's acting on a whole nother level. So it was great seeing her as the mom, and then the father, which was played by Ejiofor. Like I said, you've seen him in a ton of different things, and he did a great job. And he also, I believe, he produced, edited, and written the film as well. So he was heavily involved in it.
Well.
You said what?
Directed as well.
Directed it as well. Yeah. He was heavily involved, and you can tell whenever he was on screen, you know what type of film you're going to get from him. So, what's up, Blue Streak? Thank you for tuning in. Chief rocking the building forecast. He said, "Oh damn, I only see 3." Yeah, it's only 3. It's only 3 for a short period of time, but I appreciate you, Chief. All right, so let's get into this opening scene. There's one person on the show that sometimes doesn't recognize the music. Well, this pretty much hits you in the mouth. So, opening scene. Where did that put you at? Where did that take you back to?
It took me back to that year. It was 1994. It was MC called OC. He's been a guest on one of my programs. I even know the producer. When I heard the song, I literally just started rapping. That's why it called me, because I was like, I heard it's the piano riff. This dude named MC named OC.
Piano riff.
Yeah. But why I produced it, OC spit it. He's part of a crew called DITC, called Time's Up. So it's like, Time's Up. One of my favorite songs ever.
Yeah.
So
and that kind of set the tone.
Couldn't miss that.
Yeah, that's in your face. That's pretty legendary.
Yeah. That pretty
just
much
that piano riff alone is. Yeah.
Huh?
I said just that piano alone is. Woo.
Yeah. It was hard. It was hard. I was like, hey. I was like, okay, y'all know what y'all doing. Yeah. I got my attention. Okay.
It was like, okay, I like this one already. Y'all doing a good job.
Movie, hey, I actually cut the movie off. I was like, I don't need to watch the rest of this. I was like, I'm watching this one.
You done. It's a 5.
I just read the clip notes.
6 right.
Real quick.
Soundtrack.
Real
quick. Everything.
What's up, Denise? Milk and Cookies. Thank you for tuning in. I like the Abby photo. She said, "What are we reviewing now?" It's called Rob Peace.
It's Rob Bates' cousin.
Rhonda in the building. Like the Abby photo as well. Hello to you. For tuning in. But man, that opening was dope. That really, like I said, kind of set the tone for the film. You knew it was gonna have some hip hop in it. You knew it was gonna. It was really going to be a film of that era, which was heavy hip hop, and that was my era of hip hop too. So,
especially in New Jersey, and you playing. Come on, man! You making a movie in 90 and 94 in the 90s? Oh yeah, you better open up with some hip hop. Come on, man!
Right. Yeah.
But
Wilkes, anything you want to add?
That was a good year, man.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, I think you and H-Rap pretty much covered it. I mean, when I heard the music. Saw the car, the clothes. It was just like, man, this has already got my attention. I was like, man, out the gate. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it had me hooked from the trailer, and then of course I wasn't expecting that opening to hit me like that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh yes.
Yeah. Shout out to Doretha Glenn. Thank you for tuning in.
Hello there.
Appreciate that. Yeah, this the trailer had me hooked. Well, as soon as we at work and Wilkes is like, "Hey, check this trailer out." Yeah. As soon as I watched it, I'm like, "Wow, yeah, we got to do this immediately as soon as it's available." I think it was only in theaters for a minute, and then we pretty much had an open slot. So it was like, man, we got to do this. But the trailer gets you hooked. That's exactly what a trailer is supposed to do. It's supposed to get you into the film and you are ready to watch it immediately after watching the trailer. And so, and that's kind of where the film picks up at the beginning, obviously with the opening, and then, his dad is coming to pick him up. And you know that as a son, you love your dad. Like, and in this film, we're going to talk about it. You're really willing to do whatever for that love, like the love of a father. You're willing to do whatever it is, whatever it takes. And that, like I said, we're going to dive into that later. But, he was waiting on his dad to pick him up. His dad came. The Mary J. Blige is like, I'm glad you came on time. She got to have that.
Of course.
He was like, nah, I'm here. And, if you watch the preview, okay, this car is not going to make it. All right, something's about to happen. The car is not going to make it. It was already pulling up, and it was already, not in good condition. She was like, yeah, why don't you let me borrow that car? She's like, no, you're going to church. And she basically was like, I know you, and no, you can't borrow the car. All right.
Not going to run no weed in my car. Yeah, we ain't doing that.
Yeah, and the fact this dude's nickname was Skeet.
I was a little,
If this is Skeet in the neighborhood, that dude is shady. All right, it ain't I ain't never met no good Skeets. All right,
and a couple of just came on my program. Michael Skeet Horton.
Okay. That's 1 out of 10. That's 1 out of 10. So he's about 10%. It's a 10% advantage on Skeets in the neighborhood, But he's pulling up, seeing his dad. They're gonna be going out and all that. Kind of give me your thoughts on that as you're seeing him pull up in the interaction. That's the first interaction we see. Between Skeet and Mary J. Blige's character. They trap.
Typical baby mama drama. Dude not living up. Dude is stereotyped into a specific category. And he lived up to it, to be perfectly honest with you. His character was a non-honorable, non-accountable person. That's what pulled this movie into a horrible situation. He made this worse than it should have been. He was a horrible parent. So while we assume that Mary J. Blige was overreacting, we find out later on in the film she was acting appropriately.
Mm-hmm. She had reasons for her concern and her wanting to hold back, but she didn't really say it until towards the end. But as a parent, you got to protect your kid at all costs from everything, whatever it is, even if it's the other parent. So Wilkes.
Yeah, for me, this was the ultimate conversation I've heard my grandmother say to my mom. It's like, let David decide what relationship he wants with his dad, because she always told my mom, don't talk bad or talk down, about David's dad in front of him. If you got something to say about it, hey, make sure David's not in earshot, So it was definitely echoing that, let him decide what kind of relationship he wants. And then when he starts slowly seeing, and of course, which he probably never did notice until until Mary J. Blige started explaining things, and then his dad was kind of keeping things from him. But at that age, man, your parents is your heroes. Your dad, your mom can't do no wrong. So you let them decide what kind of relationship you want them to have. So when I seen it immediately, I was just like, oh man, I was like, he's been in some shady dealings. Yeah. I already know what's happening.
I knew this was coming eventually. Not that. I knew this was coming eventually. Hey, shout out to Lil Jon and Lil Jon and Yin Yang Twins. For that wonderful song that has ruined everybody named Skeet.
Thank you, Miss Keith. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
On the ones and twos.
Golden in the building. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see who else we got here. Courtney Harper, thank you for tuning in as well. I know that's H-Rap's fam right there.
It's my niece.
All right, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in. Now on the trailer, which I want to get y'all thoughts on this. On the trailer, you think immediately after he gets out of the car, something happens like right then. because they did a good job with the trailer, kind of piecing it together.
Yeah,
but it really didn't happen until later on. So I was thinking like, okay, somebody's about to run up on his dad, and his dad's about to shoot him or something. But they did very well keeping your attention on that. Yes. So give me your thoughts on that, A-Trap, from the trailer to watching it. Did you think something was going to happen immediately, or was going to give it some time?
The trailer definitely was misleading, which was appropriate. It was appropriately put through. My man did an excellent job with this. He made you wonder what was going on, and that's what
you're supposed to do.
I hate to bring up LCC, but
all right,
people. It definitely made you want to watch it, and it was misleading, which is appropriate because if it pulls you in, it is the dictionary definition of marketing, not to sell you anything, but make you believe you need to see or buy something, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. Wilkes.
Definitely for me, because when I saw it, I'm thinking I didn't get any. They kept saying 2 women in the movie, but I'm like, in the trailer it didn't show anybody.
Didn't say anything about women.
So I was just like, what is happening? So and then the I guess, was he a reverend or somebody else had died, and they were questioning him, and then he ended up like dying or something. But it was like he had like an obituary of that guy that ended up dying. They mentioned his name, but I think he was a witness or whatever, but then he ends up like dying. So
the next door neighbor, right?
Yeah, that's the cat with the radio.
Okay, with the rail. Okay, so that's what I liked about this trailer, and H-Rap is so true. You watch so many trailers now, and I'm like, man, you just showed me the whole movie in like 5 minutes.
No reason to watch this.
I don't need to watch it. Like, and I'm like, why would you show that? So it was one of those things where, I was definitely thrown off. I was not expecting how it went down, which I love. Like I said, I'm a big fan of independent movies and production, but I was totally lost. I was like, "That's not what I saw in the trailer."
Right. And he's getting a gun out of the glove box. So you're thinking, like, what is he? Is he about to rob a store? Is he about to run into? Does he know he's about to run into somebody? So he's like, all right, I need to be prepared. But it ends up kind of walking to the neighborhood, to the house. I mean, we've all had that. I think I'll say not all, but maybe we've all had that type of neighborhood where, you watching a game, everybody outside on the stoop watching the game, everybody at your house watching the game. Right. And also you see him, like A-Trap talks about often, is like caring for our people. So you got the older guy, I forgot what his name was, but you got the older guy and he's looking out for him, knowing that he already has, obviously he's got issues, he's got things he's dealing with, but I need to care for this man because there's nobody maybe caring for him, help him get in the house and do those types of things. So A-Trap, talk about that and kind of like the family part of this that was heavy. Even, Rob Peace's dad was very heavy on the family part.
Yeah, I mean, it was a communal situation. What you don't realize, like when you're old as me, 3-4 days older than baseball. But but when you're coming from that era, you realize this is pre the crack epidemic. Think about this. This is the precipice of the crack epidemic. This is when it was walking you down. 86 is when it started, and then it got worse into the 90s. That's what you're really not. That's what they alluded to. So before this,
because at this point we're in the first Bush era, 94.
No. They hadn't got to the B in the R&B of the 80s. Reagan and Bush. We still in the second series of the Reagan era, because Reagan was 80 to 84, and then his second term is 84 to 88. That's my coming of age period. And
absolutely.
You still technology afforded you. It was nothing for people to sit out there with a boom box and just play music.
Right. Oh yeah.
Chop it up, sip, toke. Do what you're gonna do, and then as things progress, now this monster, it's still at the top of the hill. It hasn't come down to the valley yet. And that's the monster coming down to the valley. That's when you see him having those packages, about to sell that product. But he still had the wherewithal for the community to come together as a cultural experience, sitting out on the stoop. Now, we're not going to sit on the stoop. We're going to go down the street, spend a little money at the bar, which also was part of our culture. And in my neighborhood, it was called the Love Boat. You go down to the Love Boat, you go over to the pump. and everybody was either there, then you stand out on the stoop, and everybody was chilling. So you still had those elders that you had to care for. You did what you wanted to do. You did what you had to do, but you separated those things from culture and community, and that's what they gave you a peek of in this instance. So yeah, it was like I said, it walked me through my lifetime, because while Rob Peace was maybe 8 years younger than me, I remember that time. That's when I was coming of age. I mean, I remember, I wasn't gonna say her name, but I remember this one girl got so high that she stripped naked and walked through the playground. That was the first time I saw a woman naked. She just sat there like this.
Yeah.
And it was like me, my cousin Mike and Vince, we were like, what in the, but we still didn't know what it was. We didn't know what was on the horizon. So yeah, man, as I watched this movie, I remember, oh my God. Ooh, and I remember being that little kid that all the older cats, due to my uncles, they knew me, Brian, because they knew my mom. They knew my uncles, they knew my cousins. So like he was like, everybody was looking out the window, Sean. I remember that. That was the thing. Everybody knew you. You couldn't go anywhere in the community without everybody identifying who you were.
Absolutely.
Right. You couldn't act a fool anywhere.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like today. I don't know. I mean, when I was growing up, I feel like you bump into more people.
Memories.
Yeah, it's like you bump into more people. Back then, you were like, man, he up at the corner store acting up. Bring his little narrow ass back home. You know.
Right.
Now it's like you go to the store and it's so damn big, everybody everywhere. You don't really bump into people you know. But like A-Trap said, you ain't gonna act up too much because somebody watching you.
Right. Now it's a surprise that you see somebody in the store.
Right.
That you know.
Exactly.
Because it's even in Forney, where me and the Wilkes are, it'll be rare that you see somebody in the store, because every city is so big and it's such a melting pot from people from all different areas. You never know.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh man.
And one thing I appreciate about this is Rob Peace. It was just a rare mind. Like there's just certain people that are so far beyond people in their own grade, beyond the level of comprehension and ability to learn and ability to just be amazing people. So I think he was just one of those rare people that sometimes are only here for a short period. And I think, the good die young, that saying. But when he was in the car with his dad and he's like, so, tell me what this average is. And he's just sitting in the car, no calculator, no pen, no piece of paper, no pencil, just calculating things in his head. And he's like, man, how you can be 10 and you're already smarter than me. I mean, like that was a great father and son moment, which they had a lot in this film. So I do want to point that out. This wasn't as if he was necessarily a deadbeat. I think he made some bad decisions with his mom, but he cared for his son, and his son cared for him. You'll see that throughout this entire film. But you A-Trap and Wilkes having sons, kind of talk about in this film that father-son relationship. And sometimes it's a give and take. Sometimes it's one is asking for more on the other end, and one asking for more on one end. But Wilkes.
Yeah, for me, I mean, with my son, it was one of those things where I know he looks at me under a microscope and he wants to do, and dad had a sports car when he was in. I want a sports. Stop. You don't need a sports car. It's like so. But his mom is like, why is he so hell bent and determined to have a sports car? I'm like, hey,
it's in his blood.
It's in his blood. But I recommend that he get something that's more fuel efficient. So, but it's just one of those things where, yes, I mean, and honestly, I'll take you one back further. We had a neighbor growing up. My mom still lives in her parents' house right now to this day. And across the street, there was a family by the name of the Chappells. And Vicky Chappell was my mom's friend. She had a son. And we were at the zoo one time. And my mom was like, Dave, don't you see he's doing exactly what you're doing? You can't walk on the wall where the rail is because he wants to be up on the wall where the rail is. He's watching you. He's doing what you're doing.
So every move.
Yeah, so it was like my dad. You know, my dad worked. Hey, my dad could snatch an engine out of a car with no problem. I was right there with him, and I had that knowledge. And I hell, honestly, if I had the time, I'd still be doing it probably. But it was one of those things where, hey, I want to do what my dad's doing. You know, the knowledge of cars have come from my dad, my uncle, and always, hey, they over there, my neighbors across the street, they working on cars. I'm looking, I'm grabbing a tool, I'm grabbing a wrench. And it's just because it's that relationship, and that's how you bond. And you know, me and my dad can talk about race cars and drag strips and all this. And it's those things where you're just trying to relate to know that, hey, my other brothers didn't come to that until later. I was the one that was front and center trying to get it now. Mm-hmm. So my son was the same way. He saw me doing tune-ups and oil changes, working on my own car. I wasn't taking it to the dealership often, but it was one of those things where, you know, he's like, Dad, I don't think I'm really into cars. Right? I said, that's fine. I'm not forcing you. But that's the thing. I chose this because I felt like even in school, I wish I could have took welding and auto mechanics, but I feel like auto mechanics spoke to me more because I remember doing these things with my dad. I remember watching my uncle do a suspension and changing struts and springs and stuff like that and tie rods, you know. So, so when they offered that class with the high school and the community college auto mechanics, I was right there. I was right there. And then in the summertime, they had AC in cars. So they had an AC class in auto. So my son, you know, when he told me one day, you know, Dad, I don't think I'm in the cars. Fine. I don't need you to be in the cars, but I need you to at least know how to change a battery, a starter, an alternator, a belt, spark plug, the simple things, a tire. So, and now you can't get the boy out of the damn thing. He got a motorcycle now. He got a car now. You know, he's doing electrician work. He's going to school for that. So, I mean, car, that's all he talk about. It's car. I mean, he sent me stuff about cars. So it was one of those things where I didn't force it on him, but I made sure it was things that were positive and that he knew that that's a life trade. I got to know how to, hey, me and my mom might be somewhere and the car won't start. Hey, Dad, the car not starting. What do you think it is? It's probably the battery. Get you some jumper cables or whatever the case is, you know, or hey, Dad, we got a flat. Blah blah blah. You know, he know how to change it. Right, it's one of those things where I tried to show him those simple things. You know, even my daughter, she's 12. I don't expect her to ever touch a car, but she knows how to look at a spark plug. She knows how to look at an oil level. She knows what that is. Slowly but surely, it's those things that I just teach her. You know, I'm not asking you to be a mechanic. Just know the simple things, you know, to get you out of the situation. The basics, right. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean, me and my son, we always connect like that with culture. He's always asking me about when I grew up in the 80s and the 90s and how this was, and he sees how me and my friends are to this day, how we hang out, and that's what it's one of those things where I know that's how he bonds with me, you know. And sometimes he clashes a little bit with his mom because she's like, "Oh yeah," he always says, "I'm not as cool as Dad." And I was like, "That's not the point. That isn't the point." I was like,
"It's a good way to impress a girl if you know how to handle cars." It sounds like what she's saying.
Yeah, it was like it was just one. Oh, and his cooking. I mean, he cooks. I mean, he was always my shadow in the kitchen, or if I'm on the patio, he's out there with me, on the back porch. I mean, so cooking is another thing that he does. You know, he's always sending me, "Hey, Dad, I made this teriyaki bowl last night. Hey, I made these biscuits from scratch." You know, so it's those things that I try to pass on that I did. And my grandmother showed me these things as far as cooking and, you know, the men in my family. Boy, you better learn how to cut that yard. My grandma even said, "Hey, learn how to wash your own clothes. Don't nobody be washing your own damn dirty drawers." You know? I had those things in front of me, and I just tried to keep those things positive. And it's like nothing I wanted to force. But when he saw that repetition, he saw that, he's like, "Oh, okay, my dad's doing this, so I need to be doing this." You know, so yeah, this movie was definitely right there. I mean, it was things that I saw with my dad, and yeah, me and my dad don't have the best relationship, but I'm not gonna sit up there and say he didn't teach me anything. He damn sure taught me some stuff, you know. So it's just one of those things where I enjoyed it, and I know H-Rap, him and his son, they talk. They had a podcast together, a little
right. Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. We'll talk about that H-Rap, that father-son relationship. Even though they weren't with each other physically, they were still with each other.
Yeah. Well, Well, me and BJ was the opposite of Wilson, his son. Like I was heavy in the ball. I shot ball all the time. I bring them with me. But one of the beautiful things, like, okay, I got two cousins and we're close, like brothers. One of them passed away. One of them was murdered. He didn't pass away. He was murdered. And we didn't have either one of them. They're brothers. And, I'm the first cousin. And they're my dad's nephews. And we always were together. And we worked that number a little different than Wills. We were ball players. And we messed around on cars too. Me and Mike messed around on cars. Me and Vince messed around with technology. Mike really didn't do technology. So it was always a circular thing. So when I did what Wilkes did, I showed BJ the basics. Look, you learn how to change some brakes. You learn how to change some bulbs. You learn how to change. You're not going to just be a car reread. The thing was, BJ could give less than a damn about a basketball, football, or baseball game. BJ came, like Will said, he just did it to bond with me. Me and BJ go to White Sox games. BJ didn't care what was going on. BJ actually was a great baseball player. One day he came up to me. He knew how much I liked sports. He knew how enthralled I was to the point I can remember his first at bat as we speak. He knew how proud of him I was. He said, "Hey, Pop." I said, "What's up?" He said, "Would you get mad if I quit?" I was like, inside, I was like, "Yes."
Don't do it, son.
I'm like, do you know how much money we can make if you continue to be this? I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. It's like, don't stop. You do stuff immediately, but that's neither here nor there. So I was like, yeah, you go ahead. But unlike me, I've learned enough to keep my car rolling. Like I know how to change tire rod, all the stuff that Will said. I know how to do it. And I showed my guy showed me. I showed BJ, and we bonded on that. BJ, his behind fell in love with cars, and check this out. I'm like, yeah. In my mind, get that bullshit. I don't care about that. Hang on. But it is that dynamic that, and then me and him, we had cook-offs because when my family separated, BJ stayed with me. He immediately left because, hey, bro, your mama ain't here to do no washing. You got to do your own washing, bro. You got to do your own washing. Right. Dishes too, Yeah. Like, wait a minute, man.
I got to work.
Sweet thing over here.
On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man.
Right. Yeah. But we still do it. We send each other to this very day. We send each other things. We joke about the family guy. So it is that dynamic. And the reason I brought my cousins in is because of this. When Lil Mike and Lil Vince have had issues with Mike and Vince, they turn to me. Right. Our family is so close until Vincent got murdered in 2016. Mike and Vince did not know I was not their uncle. You'll see Mike come in every once in a while. He'll say, "What's up, Unc?" That's my cousin. That's how close we were. So, and BJ said something last night, 24 hours ago. We were talking on the phone. He was like, "Man, I'm so glad I had Uncle Vince in my life." And I'm like, "Hey, Uncle Vince, what do you mean?" I was there. But it was the close-knit situation. It was him and Vince connected on a different level. Me and Mike connected on a level. Me and Lil Vince connected on a level. So, yeah. It was that communal thing. It was that family thing. It was that tie-in. Everybody was together. Everybody, and I can remember being on a basketball court. First time one of the guys from the neighborhood seen me poke on somebody, and he looked at me. He said, "Hey boy, you a Pollard," and that's my mother's maiden name. He said, "You a Pollard?" I was like, "Yeah, but that's not my name." But I was like, "Yeah, that's my uncle." He's like, "Boy, I can tell a Pollard. I know what a Pollard is."
All the Pollards hold their hands like this.
But he was like, cat named Moody. I'll never forget it. He walked up. He said, "Boy, you a Pollard. I knew you was a Pollard when I saw you." And he was like, "You a Pollard."
To H-Rap's point, it's crazy because I've heard the old, as they say, the old Christians or the old people of the church or the old elders of the neighborhood. I've heard them say stuff like that. Like, "I knew you was a Davis. I could tell by the way you walk," or something like that. Or you look like your uncle or something like that, and you look like your great aunt or something. So, I remember hearing a lot of that.
Hey, Wilkes, about 3 months ago, I was walking down the street. I went and bought me some chicken, man. I'm addicted to chicken. It's in there, man. You cut me. All right. What's wrong with that? I'm walking down the street. This cat named Funk. I know that walk from anywhere. I'm like, what? Whoa.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, man.
So yeah, it's that communal thing, and that's what's missing. This movie,
you don't see that anymore.
This movie grabbed me, man, because it is exactly what it set itself up to be. It is a peek into the past, a peek into the far past, the near past, the closer past, and the current day, and how we don't need to point the finger at people because we don't know what their circumstances are. We can easily say, you shouldn't have, I shouldn't have, we shouldn't have, but understand who the person is you're speaking to, and then you'll be able to move forward. And at that point, you regrow the situation.
Right. And I like how the movie didn't really go too far outside of the community. It didn't go downtown. It didn't show you any other parts of New Jersey.
That was on purpose.
It went from Connecticut to New Jersey. It didn't go New York. It didn't go Philadelphia. It stayed right in the community right there from point A to point B. You know, so I like how they just kind of focused on that block, on that neighborhood, and what was going on in the justice system and the courts. So yeah, no, I really just appreciated that that directorial effort. I mean, it was just done really well. You know, you didn't feel the weight of like it's a big Hollywood productions, a big Hollywood movie. No, I feel like when you have independent movies like this and you take those stories, a lot of stuff, and maybe there's some things that got lost in this story, but I think a lot of these movies get lost in Hollywood because now it's like, oh, how can we?
Let's make it this huge theatrical, not telling the truth.
And I think when you have it independent and keep the budget not crazy, you know, you ain't got cars flipping over bridges and blowing up. You just keep it right in front of you. Right. You know, Mary J. Blige is obviously going to work, coming home, taking care of mom. Mom is sick. I'm going to school, trying to hustle, trying to get my dad. I'm doing everything. I've got that hustler intuition in me like my dad. May not be straight, but hey, you know, I'm doing what I got to do. So, yeah, it's definitely, I kind of like how they just kept that kind of tight and kind of close, you know. Even his friends were, like he said, rich guys introduced to some not so rich people, you know.
Frat boys, polo players, and dudes from the neighborhood all kicking it in one room.
Hey, that's what I'm saying, man. Yeah. So it was, and that's what real life is, you know. And that's just one of those things where, like he said, you know, you bring people together, you know, no matter what diaspora they are. You bring people together. So
yeah. And so you talk about just keeping it all in the neighborhood. That's who he was. Like his dad cared about the neighborhood, so it was just, you know, common sense that he cared about the neighborhood, making the neighborhood better. This was also during the time of probably the beginning of like gentrification. So you had, you know, houses being sold. You have people moving out of the neighborhood. Those houses are being bought by people that are not from the neighborhood. And then they change the whole neighborhood around. So then it's not even recognizable, you know, when you come back to it. So, you know, and even there was, I think the grandmother was saying like, yeah, this used to be, you're going to make this neighborhood what it used to be. I think she said to some degree. So like the brilliance of this guy. So his dad ends up going to prison. And he's there for years. He ends up then going from to high school at St. Benedict's. His mom was like, "Look, you're not going to public school. I don't want you to be seen as the son of a convicted felon and a murderer. So we're going to go to this school, and also we're not going to go by Sean because they called him Sean, but they started going by Rob, and that's where you know the name didn't change. He was just going by his middle name." Which was Sean. So and then he ends up getting into Yale. So like his just progression, his and the ability to deal with these type of issues that he was dealing with and still go to Yale, still sell weed on the side to get his dad. Like the dude had a chemistry lab in his dorm room or in the basement there. I mean, like
which that was a Christmas gift in the 80s, in the 70s, and 80s.
Right. I mean, like it's amazing. Like you would think, this can't be true, but it's 100% true. This dude, what everything he did.
What I really appreciated was they told a secret about academics that I personally believe if they told that secret about all the subjects in regards to academia, young disenfranchised children, no matter what culture they're from, but we're speaking about our culture. I think that is the key to unlocking academics, because when you look at algebra and science, you're thinking this is this mystic world that only uber intelligent
certain people,
but mathematics is literally, most people, you say math, you say algebra, you say geometry, and people go, oh,
yeah.
But he explained it. He said it's the easiest subject to learn. Right. Everything is gonna be the same thing,
right?
No matter what.
Everything comes to an end result.
Yeah. And like yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. No matter what you do, 5 is gonna be 25. You can do 5 thousands, 5 millions, or 5 trillions. It's gonna be 25 somethings.
Right.
And people look at mathematics as if it's just this monster in the tree that you got to be David to defeat. No, if you algebra, and it took me to get to college, literally to get to college to figure math out. And this is one girl named Kim. Kim said, "You don't like math?" I was like, "It's cool, but it ain't my thing." She's like, "B, you?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't like this mess." She's like, "B, nobody told you it's not about the numbers, huh?" I said, "What?" She was like, "It ain't about the numbers, it's about the thinking process. You already in your head.
Right.
How you don't like math?" When she said that, it unlocked math, and math has been unlocked for me since.
Yeah.
Well, just like H-Rep said, is this academia is unlocked. Like I can't think of the guy's name because he was actually in House of Cards and he's been in some other movies. But like he said, it was an all-white school.
Mm-hmm.
We changed it, but we kept polo in place. We kept math in place. We kept music and science in place. So the local neighborhood students, or the ones that were raised in this, why would we change? Why would we not think inner city?
Why we make it different just because it's not
why we going
a certain demographic?
Why would we make it one for one diaspora and not for the other? It's like one dynamic for the other. It's like they can learn just like they learn.
Right.
That's what also kind of killed me about, which it didn't really kill me, but I was thinking about how they thought, oh, we're going to give the black kids these old used books that's been written in and missing information. We're going to just give them, but then we're going to give these other people the new books.
Right.
No, they can learn the same way you learn. But guess what? It's one of those things where you try to use that as a tool to keep me from learning, but I still rose above that. So, he was like, why would we change the school academics? Yeah. We offered that swim class, polo, science, math, history. We wanted music. We wanted to offer the arts, really. We wanted to offer the same thing to the next generation of kids that were going to come through these doors.
Right. Let me get to some comments here. Golden says, "True. I see my mom whoop A-Trap, so I whoop my son."
Wow.
We got jokes. These ain't jokes.
These ain't jokes.
I appreciate that, Captain. Appreciate that. Yeah, I've been told that almost the majority of my life. Appreciate you tuning in. Wow. Yeah, man. I don't know if you're saying wow to Captain or you're saying wow to this guy in this film, but I mean, I some of the stuff I had to look up to see if it was even true. And so he at a certain time he was in college and he figured out, okay, I need money. Again, he's cared so much about his dad, but also, and I want to talk about this, his dad put some pressure on him too. Like it was like, look, I know you're the only one that's riding for me. Your mom don't really care because I did her dirty different times. But you're the only one that really has got my back. So he's like, you got to be the one to do it. So I think he cared about his dad, but also he knew, like, if I don't do it, nobody else is gonna do it. And I want to see my dad out. So he ends up. This was when he was in. I think he just got into Yale. Is when he won that appeal because they figured out that he wasn't given a fair trial and he wasn't given a rush trial because he was in a different situation. So the fact that he was able to even make that happen at that young age, he was probably 18 or 19, And while he was at Yale, okay, he was at Yale. He was figuring out. He was basically becoming a de facto lawyer or a paralegal at the least. So doing all of this, gets his dad out for a minute. They end up appealing it. He ends up going back in. He then decides like, okay, I need money. So he ends up basically making this weed, and it was synthetic. And reportedly he made $100K selling that at Yale, which I'm not surprised. Like,
imagine what $100K was back then.
Right. Jeez. And he was doing this stuff with his dad. He probably sent some money home. I'm sure he probably, hung out with some. He probably paid some of his school off, which he was working in the cafeteria too. So man, just the dynamics of this person, it had to be a film on him, because this is just a rare person that you don't meet every day.
Right. What shocked me about this is how many Easter eggs they put in this film. For example, he got his dad out of jail by using using the Constitution. If we actually set it back, if the people in the community, let me go back one more step. They left this Easter egg for us in regards to the purpose of academia. You got your father. Let me take another step back. You got the father. Yeah. This dude showed you, you're only a culmination of the things you've been exposed to.
Right.
I am only what I know. His father was upset that he was getting a scholarship. And I don't want my son to take no handouts. That's that ignorance of pride of ignorance. Because I don't want to owe anybody anything. So then they talk about the importance, the purpose of academia. Now, you ask the average human being in the United States of America today, hey, why did you go to college? What made you go to college? I went to college so I could have a better opportunity. I could get a good job and I could pull myself out of my situation. That's what everybody says, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They dropped that Easter egg. He's like, hey, man, I ain't going to college to fix the problems of the world. He literally said it. It warmed my heart. He said, I'm going to college so I could go back with my information and fix my community. That is the dictionary definition of the purpose of college. So I can get this knowledge and I can go back and help.
Yep.
Reach
back.
I think they showed a point. To A-Trap's point, I think they showed that in Different World. Isn't that pretty much what Dwayne did? I mean, he went to college, but then he became a teacher and went back.
Back into his community.
Back into his community. But go ahead.
Yeah. So as you're seeing that, and then you move forward, and then she said, they talked about the discrimination portion of this.
Yeah.
They were talking, this movie was talking directly to our community. Ain't no room to get mad. We're all science experiments. We're all hamsters on this spinning wheel. But what you have to do is take the stuff that you learn while you're on this wheel. Don't get upset and stop, because that's what they want you to do, because you're gonna push this envelope to right here. Like let's say my name is the end of the envelope. They want you to stop right at B. Because if you can get them to R, they could fill in the blanks for everything else, because you've laid out the things and everything else, as he stated, with math over science. If I can lay out the blueprint, y'all could put the rest together. And man, that was the beauty in this film, man. It was a situation to whereas I'm going to show you where you come from ignorance, but that ignorance made you exercise your mind, and in your exercising of your mind, you will also pick up, as me and Wolf stated, because I am a community man. Even though I'm a community man, I'm selling poison, but I'm selling poison to live. Hey, I'm a communal person, which this instilled to me that you must go back, not just move forward. Because when you move forward, I've said this on my program. If I go to the University of Illinois and I am magna cum laude or summa cum laude or whatever, I become the greatest attorney in the world. What we do as the Black community, we move right away from each other instead of coming back to the community and shine. And then we listen to people like Vlad, and we listen to other people like Shannon I mean, you can't help everybody. You can't go back. They're gonna kidnap you. Ain't nobody gonna kidnap your food.
Right.
Everybody gonna hurt you.
Hey, to H-Rap's point, I got my 25th high school reunions coming up this Friday night. I'm curious to see how these conversations and how we gonna diverse and talk to each other once we have our stomping grounds on Friday night. Because, like he said, we get these things and then we shoot off. We take off into a different direction. And sometimes, like you said, don't forget where you, not you, but like we've heard, don't forget where you come from. No, we didn't. We shouldn't forget. And I think that's what Rob Peace was doing. But I think his mom was also saying, hey, this community is going to be here. If you want to help and pour into it, we take that help. We love it. We thank you. But in the meantime, you've got to broaden those things.
Right.
We're not saying forget where you came from, but you also have to know, hey, you got to go forward sometime to get some more knowledge.
Yeah, he was torn. He was torn for one part because of his dad. Right. But also I think he
like that community was just so much of his responsibility. Let me put you on my shoulders.
Yeah. And I think when things happen and you're backed up against a wall, sometimes we go back to what we know. And what he knew was, hey, in college, man, I sold all this. I was able to get my dad another attorney, get him another trial. I'll just do this again. But sometimes and it was a different scenario. You were at Yale before. Now you're in your neighborhood and you encroaching on somebody else's territory. So it was different. But yeah, I think he cared so much. He was willing to die for it if he had to.
Absolutely.
Sadly.
And honestly, I don't think you could change his mind otherwise.
No.
I mean,
tried to.
Matter of fact, you couldn't, because his mom kept saying, you've got to take your next step in your dreams. But he wasn't trying to hear that.
What do you want to do?
Right.
And he never really answered. I don't think he really answered what he.
I mean, even his even the director of the school said, he's like, these kids need to see your picture on the wall, not your face in the classroom every day.
Yeah.
I personally believe that's poor information to disseminate to the young people.
Yeah, it can go both ways. Yeah, it can definitely.
I really believe, because what's the number one thing that we say in schools now? We need to see more male teachers.
Right.
Absolutely. I remember being a very young person. I'm talking about 5, 6 years old. My mom used to come through with the business suit song, and there was this other lady, Miss Yvonne. And I remember the kids looking at my mother with reverence. And when we removed the Miss Yvonnes and the Annettes from the community, what are the little girls aspiring to? You know what they're aspiring to? The little Kims. And the booty, what's the girl? Booty hole Brown, or whatever her name is. Because that's what they see as success.
Yeah.
And when we continue to move away, and I'm not blaming Mary, because you want the best for your children. But what we do is, as a community, we complain. They need to ... But we need to ... We must create that foundation, because just think about this. I don't know what part of Dallas you from, Wilkes, originally. What part?
South Dallas, South Oak Cliff.
Perfect. Because that's where LJ from. My cousin Terry's from. I'm familiar with South Dallas. I'm glad you said that. I'm familiar with South Dallas.
South. Oh yes.
Just imagine if Wilkes, H-Rap, LJ still lives there. Wilkes, my cousin Terry still lives there. If we all just stay and redevelop South Dallas, because see, I've had the displeasure. I'm gonna call it a displeasure, but it's a privilege. But I'm gonna still call it a displeasure. I've had the displeasure to move from 1655 West Hastings, move from 1209 South Racine, move to 1450 North Sedgwick, which is the lower north side where me and Rhonda from, right? Yeah. I'm there at age 10. Both my grandmother's house. One of my grandmother's place at 1655 is a Costco parking lot. My other grandmother, her 1440 1942. 1942 is the back of a crime lab. My sisters, they have a different dad than me from my mother's first marriage, right?
Yeah.
Their grandmother's house is an FBI lab.
Like a safe house? Oh, safe house? Yeah.
No. It's like a headquarters.
Yeah, okay. Got you.
Now, where I live, where me and Rhonda grew up at, it used to be the factory of Oscar Mayer. No longer there. It's a bunch of houses. That pump, the melody, and the pump and the melody gone. The building is still there, but it's been resurfaced to something else. The neighborhood me and Rhonda is gone. So just imagine if we all would have went back. And when we saw that drug thing take over, then Wilkes, Ben, A-Trap, we moved back into South Dallas and we redeveloped the area. That's what Mike Peace was trying to do. And we don't see it. We're so busy trying to escape from the hell.
Right.
I'm not even gonna call it hell. I'm gonna call it from the fire. Not realizing that we can actually put the fire out and then redevelop. And they metaphor. It was beautiful how they used that fire that the community's on fire with this crack epidemic. Yeah. And they metaphorically burned that house down and rebuilt it and started to rebuild the neighborhood. And then that's when capitalism, the big boys at the top, hit the button, and then they fell apart. But
and they talked about that with the financial crash, which which kind of killed what they were doing. But I think he was so, and also he cared about his guys. You remember when he first was at St. Benedict's and they said, what's the most important thing? And he said brotherhood because he could see, going behind, he could see it. Dude, his mind was just.
What hurts me hurts my brother. What hurts my brother hurts me.
Right. So when his guy was like, man, I'll put the only money I had into this. And immediately he's like, all right, I got to get this money back. So I got to do whatever it takes to get this money back. So he easily could have just said, okay, I'm done. And, went to grad school.
I think A-Trap's there's a comment.
No, she's right. I was just pointing to what Golden said. In the neighborhood that we grew up in, literally one family there.
Wow.
One family. And it's 3 buildings and everything else is professional.
Yeah.
3 homes.
Crazy.
And one family owns all 3. It's a 2-flat, it's a 3-flat, and a single family home. And Mr. Warlow, he owns it all. He owns that whole side of the block because when vacant lots came about, he just purchased them and turned them into a block.
Right. Wow.
Man,
it's crazy. And to Ben's point, and when Ben was making his comment, I mean, I think Rob Peace, he honestly, they didn't really mention it much, but they didn't mention religion or Christianity or anything. But I don't think he understood that he was literally taking on the role of like, I have to wear all these hats. Right. These people need me. I got to put on these hats. Wait a minute, somebody's hurting over here. My boy said he ain't got money for his kid. Let me go get this money and make it back. Right. Oh, my dad, hey, I'm going to get the lawyer, whatever it takes. It's going to get expensive, but I got to do it. His girl didn't really understand it. She was like, you just another drug dealer? Well, you can call it what you want. This is with the love of my dad. This is what I got to do. I got to work. I got to hustle. Right. So I think he felt like, and I won't say he knew to him, it's like, I have to wear these. I mean, he kept dropping mom off. He kept dropping mom off money. He's like, hey, mom, I got you. Dad, I'm going to get this medicine. We're going to pay for the medicine.
We can make it happen. We go work it out. It's kind of what his line was. Yeah.
He took on all these things and he wore these things. Yes, it may sound like a lame parallel, but it was like Christ is going to take on all these sins, and I'm going to take on all this pain and labor. Not saying he's nothing like Christ, but my point is he's trying to love.
He was a martyr. He was a martyr.
He was that martyr. Like hey, if I gotta send my message out to the people, don't worry about me. Right. I've lived my life. When
the guy came in with the rifle, what he said, he told the dude run. Like at that moment he knew his life was over. But he told his boy
to get out. Yeah. Like, so I think he knew that
even to the end, he cared about his brother.
If nothing else comes from this, just know I tried to mend things. I tried to fix things. I tried to reshape and give a different outcome to things. So I think that's just one of. Hey, and the play on words, Rob Peace. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
man, that's
the entire title, Rob
yeah,
Peace.
yeah. And that's who he was.
Yeah,
that's who he was. All right, we're gonna take
Christ like Wilkes. Think about that is Christ like. You say you're not gonna compare him to Christ, but what is Christ? What is to be a Christian? To be like Christ. He would try to take on the sin of the people and heal
of his people. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna play the trailer of what we're gonna review next week. So we'll be right back.
The kid was a true star.
Different Strokes was a groundbreaking show. The audience loved Gary.
He had a spirit about him. He was always an entertainer.
If someone had told me my life would have been like this early enough where I could have got out, I would have got out.
The actor's parents and business advisors skimmed some of his earnings.
They took $770,000 and gave it to themselves.
I'd have taken that very deeply to heart.
He said, I just wanted to say goodbye. I cannot take this anymore. And we cried. His life was fraught with disappointments. From 1985 until his death, he lived with not a single kidney.
All he wanted was to find somebody who he could love.
Their relationship was tumultuous.
When we're here, emergency. Send someone quick. There's a lot of blood on the floor.
The death of Gary Coleman was suspicious.
I don't know what I can say without being sued.
People think that I did this because I'm the ex-wife. I'm the evil person, right?
His life is a cautionary tale.
A big man in this little kid's body.
The greatest child actor of all time.
There's certain performers that change our lives. He was one of them.
Bro, I watched that.
It's gonna be a crazy one right there.
I watched that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, we going from one powerful one to look like another one. I'm looking forward to that.
I remember H-Rap sharing that comment in the chat. And the crazy thing is, I remember even with the cast of Different Strokes, I remember their up and downs. And then just Gary Coleman, his struggles alone by himself.
Man.
Yeah.
Bro. Like, man.
God.
So I know this is gonna be like, whoa.
Yeah, whoa, though.
Black Rob, RP, Black Rob, whoa, like, whoa. Yeah.
Black Rob ain't got nothing on that, man.
It's available. Yeah, so it's on Peacock. Go ahead and check that out. I'm gonna check that out as soon as possible. So we'll be back next week with that. But so kind of continuing on with our conversation, Rob Peace. This again was so many different dynamics. So he goes to Yale. He's enjoying it. I mean, he's asking for extra work. Like, how can I better myself? How can I be in a better position? And then he ends up getting into a situation where, I mean, he's making so much money on campus. He's in all different types of different circles. So I don't know if somebody ratted on him or if it was just a coincidence. Like you were having a party. I don't know but anyway, maybe it was the teacher because she looked disappointed. But they ended up rolling up on him, so he had to end up hiding the stuff.
It was probably some jealous dealer.
Yeah, probably the dealer that got outsold is probably who it was. And he ends up having to hide stuff and put stuff away and all that. So he ends up getting away. They didn't find anything, but he ends up having to probably come to the board of trustees or the president of the school or whatever, and he's able to graduate. So thank God for that. But he didn't get the recommendation. So I don't know and I wanted to talk about this, if that would have went smoother and he would have got the recommendation, do you think he would have went to grad school, or do you think he would have still came back to his community?
I most definitely think he would have come back. Coming back is what has been inculcated into his spirit. That's who he is. To use Wilkes' reference, this is a Christ-like situation for him. This is his life's work. This is a passion. This is a passion project. So he definitely would have come back. But I think this is another example of, again, this spoke to so many different situations in our community. Whereas you have, this is a situation in my family, and just aforementioned cousin who was murdered. Yeah. He went to the same high school as Michelle Obama, and then he fell off. Some things happened to him. 2 weeks into his basketball career, as a freshman, the Howard basketball coach approached him and said, "Free ride scholarship, let's go."
Wow.
So, and then certain circumstances led to him going down a different path. So this is why I say, you know, I have extremely, you know, I got a homeboy who is a super conservative soul brother. That sounds like they're diametrically opposed. I'm a super conservative and I'm a soul brother. But the dude is super conservative and he still refers to white people as whitey.
Wow. So that's like that skit with Richard Pryor. Well, so you're gonna have Huey P. Newton run the FBI? Oh yeah. If I think anybody that knows the FBI inside and out is Huey P.
Exactly. That's who he. Hey, that's who he is. And I'm gonna tell y'all something about him. It's ironic that you said that, Will. But yeah, so I just think this is a part of him, man. And this movie was this is, you remember in Living Color, anytime they said something that they want you to pay attention to, King Nari would pop up and go, "Message." This whole movie was message.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it was a rabbit.
It was a lot.
I mean, from education. I mean, look at the picture. He was like, "Oh, is that Yale?" And she was like, "Yeah." Ironically, before they named the school after him, and you saw the black kid that was painted in the background, still had the shackle around the neck. Yeah. So it's like you're parading this picture.
Right. Massive picture on the wall that you want everybody to see.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just, man, the movie had a rabbit hole of just different things.
It was powerful, man.
Yeah. Crazy. So he's at Yale, he's graduating. He goes back and sees his dad, and let me rewind back a little bit. He ended up getting him another trial. I think he ended up getting like another 2 trials, but they both were like, "Yeah, there's nothing we're gonna do." Right. He ends up finding out that his dad was abusive to his mom, so his mom kind of kept some things from him. I think it was more so to not change his view of his dad.
And I think that's why I said
that was commendable.
And that's why I said I think a lot of this movie for me on a personal level was, like I said, I never forget my grandmother echoing this to my mother. Let David decide the relationship he wants with his dad. Mm-hmm. Don't badmouth him in front of David. You know, like he said, if you've got something to talk about or you don't agree with what he's doing, don't do it in front of your child. You let David and Anthony, you let them have the relationship that they want to build. Which to this day, I love working on cars with my dad. I love talking about cars. I love talking about when he was in high school and went to Tennessee and things like that. So it was in his time living up in Chicago. So yeah, I listening to my dad, talking to my dad and stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes. And to this day, I don't fault him for not doing the things I thought maybe he should have done. That's none of my business. That's between him and my mom. You know, that's not the relationship that's, as they say, stay out of grown folks' business. That ain't none of my business. That ain't none of my business. That ain't none of my business. All I know is, to me, my dad is A1 okay. He's got his moments, but he's still my dad. You know, I still honor and respect him. But whatever that grown stuff you got going on, hey, that's over there, man. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
And they had some tensions. You know, he came to him one time and he was like, "Look, man, you all I got." And he was like, I don't really want you to call me here. You know, I'll just call you. Don't call me. I'll call you." Well, you know where I'm at. And, you know, he hang the phone up.
He hang the phone up. Yeah, you know.
He ends up coming back to him to ask him, like, "I need you to tell me the truth." And he was like, "Man, what difference do it matter now? I mean, I'm basically dying." So that was a kind of a touching moment because it appeared that they didn't really see each
like,
other
this is your
again.
last words to me. This is what you worried about.
Right. And he ends up dying, and so that was tough to see. And I didn't know if that was accurate, but because I thought I read something that he got released, but maybe that was just because he did get released for that that short period of time.
They honestly, the way, I know he was dying, but I don't know how much they fast time jumped because maybe he did get out for a little bit and then he might have died on the outside. Like, I don't know.
Right. And this dude was such a genius. His dad had brain cancer. He was just happening to be studying cancer, and he was like, I'll just get you some medication. Like that's ability, that wherewithal, that like anything that I put my mind to, I can do, and I'm gonna get you out, which he did get him out. I'm gonna get you some of this cancer medicine, which I don't know if he got to that point yet. I think he was trying to get to that point, but the fact that he was even studying that and nothing was impossible to him. Nothing. I think that was just the beauty of this film.
Right. And that goes into that message thing, man. I mean, think about it, man. They kept saying, if you put your mind, the whole movie, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. If you put that was the undertone of the conversation. Right. If you think you can do it, you can do it. Nobody paid attention. Nobody really pays attention to these things. Like, for example, when he got him out of jail the first time, if people understood, I think my man was letting you know, if you actually understood the law, you get a bunch of people out of jail. For example, the speedy trial. If you in jail for longer than 30 days, that's a violation of constitutional rights.
Right.
Something about bond. You hear about bond a lot. I'm gonna ask y'all this again. This is my little BS education working for me.
Criminal justice.
That it is a violation of your constitutional rights to give you $1 million bond unless you Puff Daddy, unless you Donald Trump, unless you one of these super rich people. It is a violation of your constitutional rights to give you a bond that you cannot afford.
Really?
Yes. See, you see what I'm saying? So
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cats with these bonds that be out of control. They can't afford that.
Crazy bonds, yeah.
Right. Either that you win, but you can't say, $4 million bond because you killed 4 people. No bond because you're a threat to society. But when you set a bond $15,000 and you $1,500 and not living in the projects, see, right? I'm telling you, dog, it's a vibe. This movie was a blueprint to success. Yes. And when they showed Mary J, and the situation with him and his mother, again, I'm watching this going, see, this is why I don't like these suckers who mad at Obama for saying vote. I've excommunicated myself with a guy who's supposed to come on my show, one of my favorite MCs, because he literally was presented with information that was a lie about Trump, and he said, "I ain't gonna roll. I'm still rolling with Trump because and I quote, because I don't want to listen to some broad." And I'm like,
"Wow,
you would rather sign up with a white nationalist than to sign up with a black woman."
Yeah.
On that note, I'm out. And to be perfectly honest with you, this dude could do me a tremendous favor by appearing on my program. Yeah, I am literally cutting off my nose to spite my face, but I got principles, man. I was raised by a black woman, so I'm not gonna be. Right. People just don't know. You cannot get a bond set like at ridiculous. Like if you make it $50,000 a year, and they say your bond is $75,000, which is $7,500. You ain't got. Most people ain't got $7,500 just laying around the crib. You violated my constitutional rights. If I brought it to the judge, y'all gotta let me out. But it ain't gonna ignorance. So,
loophole, like she said, and like I've always said, the constitutional rights have loopholes. He found the loophole.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have wrote the First Amendment to offset the Second Amendment, to offset the Third Amendment, to offset the Fourth Amendment.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You would just have one amendment if it was all good and no holes. Yeah.
Right.
But whatever he touched.
And another thing, they don't talk about how those amendments have sections. First part of that amendment has like 10 more sections, 5 more sections.
Like everybody's favorite one, the 14th Amendment. And then they got The clause 36 is a but clause. But if you break the law,
exactly,
you got clauses.
You got those clauses.
But and then look, and then but if you break the law, we can put you back into slavery. Okay, it's a bunch of black people just standing around not doing that, make loitering against the law.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, man. But basically anything he touched, from school to I'm gonna study cancer. I'm gonna figure out how to cure cancer. I'm gonna make a real estate business, which was successful until the crash. I'm gonna basically sell weed until I can get my dad out of prison, which he almost did. I'm gonna basically do this for a short term, which he did pay. He did pay back his brother. The other guy got away. It seemed like he was good. He was ended up being the one that didn't get away, but he was almost out of that too. He was about to go.
Man was in the lab making gas before they were rapping about it.
Man, and this was, and he was doing weed. All right, so let's be clear. It wasn't like he wasn't selling crack, which there is a difference, obviously. So it wasn't as if he was in that kind of crack era, but that's not what he was doing. And a bill is not a law.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man.
You gotta vote. You gotta vote it into law. It's a bill first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Schoolhouse Rock.
Right. Exactly.
Well, then I'm off to the White House where I wait here in line.
Thank you, Schoolhouse Rock. Thank you.
Hey, that was a soulful that Schoolhouse Rock, man.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Hey,
I hope and pray that I will, but today I'm still
just a bill. Yeah.
And this whole thing could have been a after school special.
Man.
I mean, really, it showed you the ups, the downs. Like, hey, man, this guy was great. He made some bad decisions. It didn't end well.
Yeah. No, it caught me when I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, this is. I don't recommend much, but I was like, this
was great. And that ending scene, man, because he said he wanted to get to the beach, which it seemed like he never got there. But he just wanted to get to that beach, and Mary J coming up to him like, man, the life that you dreamed that you wanted to live would have been so great. I mean, that was.
There was even a moment. I don't remember what exact moment, but there was a moment in the movie where he closed his eyes and the cars turned into waves on the beach.
Right. He said he was on his porch when it was raining.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, this movie was. Woof.
Yeah.
For me personally, I may just watch it again. I feel like I made.
Yeah, I know. I may too, because I mean, I was.
No, man. You start watching Lovecraft, buddy.
Yeah, you get like the Lovecraft, man.
Stick to the script, man.
Yeah,
let me get our
Lovecraft, man. Yeah.
But man, let's get to some final thoughts and Mike rating. Wilkes, I'm coming to you first.
I gotta give it a 5, man.
Yeah.
For me, it's a no-brainer. It's straight on the line. I mean, from the knowledge is power and power is knowledge. From like you said, putting your mind to anything you want to do. Math opens the doors, but not even that. It's like if I just keep pushing and studying. Right. I mean, this movie touched on so many rabbit holes, man. Like I said, the judicial system. It touched on the academia system. It's like, wow, they're gonna really. We got to change your name just to get here, but that's not who we're gonna call you. Mm-hmm. You got into Yale. Why are you here? The polo team don't associate with us. I mean, it's just so much. I mean, yeah. I mean, even the small. Like, oh, you got a badge? What are you doing? You gonna be a black person walking on campus without a badge? Hey, yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's in the 90s.
You can't possibly be here. Like, this can't possibly be your dorm.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
So it's so much underlining to this movie. 5 for me. I won't rattle on. But yeah, 5 for me.
Yeah. A-Trap.
What he said.
Yeah. It's a clean sweep. It's definitely a 5. I mean, I was looking for something to not like, and it just was nothing there. It was just from beginning to end, well done, directed well. Really, you could tell that he spent some time with the family to really like. And this is based off a book from his college roommate. So his college roommate wrote this book, and then the director did the film of it. But you could tell that they really cared about the family and what they really wanted this.
And I mentioned this earlier, but I don't think I mentioned it on the show. But what kept also pulling me in, that contrast of East Orange, that color orange that was in every other. I mean, even when Mary J. Blige turned the light on, it was orange. It was so. It's just that that community was always with him at every turn. That was on his mind, and it was calculated. Everything he did was community driven. I know A-Trap talks about building a better community, start with the community, feed the community, teach the community. So, and of course, and that's where it starts. That's what kills me about when nobody goes to vote when it's midterms. Like, you got midterm is the deciding fact. Do not wait until it's a presidential race at stake. That's how you turn the tide locally. And even if it's not midterm, even if it's just a local voting where it's your commissioner, your railroad commissioner, your sheriff, your judge, your sanitation, whoever it is, Board of Education. But I digress. I leave it up to A-Trap.
No, you were singing my song.
I leave that up to A-Trap.
Yeah, no, that's it. But man, rest in peace to him, man. Rob Peace, man. Gone too soon, but also I think he made his impact. I mean, and this is what he passed in, what was that, 2006? I mean, so we're almost at.
No. He had to pass at least 10 because the crisis was 8.
8, right.
Yeah.
So
the housing market then, the fiscal clip or whatever, the housing market was 8. Yeah, so 10.
Yeah, and this is one of those where, like, man, you hope it's a different ending. Again, you know what the ending is going to be, but you just hope, like, you would love to see this brilliant mind and what he could have did further, because I mean he already had a ton of success in what he did, but you just think of the future. So great film. Appreciate you, Wilkes, with another.
Hey, no problem. It caught me. I'm telling you. I just said I had to share it. I was like, we got to do this one. I know it was a little heavy, but
I mean it was, but it was good. It was good. It left you wanting to watch the entire thing. But coming up next week, Gary, we played the preview that's on Peacock. That's gonna be another heavy one. I mean, that's gonna be one of those.
Wait till y'all see Gary, man.
Man, that's gonna be one of those where the first 30
trailer,
minutes,
I'm just like, what?
Yeah. The first 30 minutes is gonna be like, man, Gary, this is what he did when he was young, and then probably the last hour is gonna be.
Hey, that Gary,
struggling.
Oh boy, boy,
we bang, we.
Man,
what's coming up tomorrow on the End of the Bench?
I got 10 questions. I'm gonna bring up, Will spoke about the electoral process. You got a lot of these sucker MCs, aka black men, that they are out here disrespecting. You got Le'Veon Bell. He said she's a tramp.
Come on, man.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask 10 questions, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to present 10 situations. And I'm going to say which one benefits you, which one doesn't. And I'm just going to ask my 10 questions. And then when I get through, whatever you think is the best for you, this direction you will go in. But I'm not going to preach about this. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do the, you need to, because your granddaddy got shot in the foot on the 18th of July, 1961.
Right. We ain't doing that.
No, because I had a friend, one of my very closest friends, he disappointed me beyond belief this week when I sent y'all that clip when my man said he's gonna close the school, he want to destroy the Department of Education, and the dude said, so what happens if they start teaching actual history? He didn't say those words. He said, what happens if they start teaching this new history that the country is built on stolen land and slaves? It was built on the back of slavery.
Yeah.
But what I'm
then we don't fund them.
We
don't see no money.
And my man said, well, I need to see the rest of the clip because you never know what he's gonna say. I was like,
that is the rest of the clip.
Right. I'm like, is it anything that he could have said to clean that up? And my man literally said, you never know. And
hey, like I told my wife, and I'm just gonna throw this in there. Like I told my wife, I was like, he does understand that he has, if anybody's gonna be hard-nosed conservative voting for Trump, you know how many teachers that he has in this corner, like evangelicals? What the teachers watching this, they're gonna let this go. Oh, he didn't really mean it like that. That's bullshit.
Hey,
but anyway,
my man said, "You never know." And had I not known him as long as I known him, I'd cut him off. Seriously, that's the only reason we still cool. Because I was like, I literally did like this.
It's about to hang up.
Yeah, I was like,
we're gonna close the Department of Education
and not fund people for
that
teaching.
Start teaching about it. Stop.
And I said, what? Oh, by the way, this cat is a union steward.
Oh Lord!
Wow!
Wow!
Yeah, but man, just a clown, man. That's all it is. It's a clown show.
My nose despite my face.
It is a clown show, and people just keep coming to the show, like thinking this like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Because they don't care. They don't care. They'll deal with it when it happens. That's all they care about. They'll deal with it when it happens.
Yeah. All right, make sure to tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central on the End of the Bench Media. Make sure to like and subscribe to all the platforms, BS3 Network, Queen 3 and King, The Forecast, the End of the Bench Media on YouTube. There'll probably be a replay tomorrow of Queen 3 and King. Like I said at the beginning of the show, just keep Doc and his family in your prayers. He'll be back soon, but definitely dealing with some things that you need to take some time away. So we'll be back sooner rather than later.
Wow, somebody just subscribed.
Oh, awesome. There we go. That's it right there. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We thank you for the likes, Todd, Lutz, Nathan, Chris Bass, also the comments. It was definitely buzzing tonight, so we appreciate that. Again, coming up next week, Gary. It's on Peacock. Go ahead and watch that.
Man,
I'm looking forward to that for a lot of different reasons. And that was obviously we know the child actor he was, and so that should be a good one as well. All right, A-Trap, go ahead and close us out.
All I got to say is, man, oh man.
Ugh.
I'm telling you. That trailer cheated that documentary. If you watch that documentary, you'll be like, yeah, that's okay.
Insane.
Y'all watch it. And when you watch it, you're gonna be like, you're gonna want to catch up with his wife, boy. He said it's man on the west side of Chicago when you ain't want to be bothered somebody, man, catch up with your crown. I want to catch up with her crown.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she looked suspect when she did that last interview, when they showed that clip at the end. So I can only imagine.
Man, wait till y'all watch this. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be insane. After seeing that, oh man.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't treat a nest of gnats like they treated Gary Cole.
Oh man, I'm telling you. I mean, they even to the point they started parading him around like a joke.
Yeah.
He was.
I'm telling y'all, we don't know. We only know about 6% of the story. Well, I know more now. Wow. The stuff that y'all talking about, that y'all know just on the outskirts,
on the surface.
Literally, that's only like I'm tripping with 6%. That's literally, man, the stuff, the way he was treated. We only know about 30% of it, man.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
They treated them well in accordance to what we know.
Of course.
Yeah.
I can't even, like you just even that one little spot. Oh, they took money. They took 700. Damn, you took 700 grand,
bruh. I'm telling you. And put it like this. Don't you know how when you talk to black people, when people get into on the news and they get into the trauma Olympics and they go, well, what about the Jews? And then black people go, well, if it was only 6 million of us that got killed, we'd be okay. Bruh, understand this. If they would have only taken 700,000, we wouldn't be watching this documentary.
So that was just the tip. That was just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that was just to see what I could get. Yeah.
Right. No. That was just what we do on Saturday.
Wow. They on a shopping spree.
Bro, but like this. If you could compress that into what happened this year, that's 750,000. You ain't even into Aquarius yet.
Right.
Wow.
Oh boy.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Same.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Hey, well, definitely tune in next week. We'll be back.
I'm ready to tune in.
You ready to do it right now?
Just be like, oh y'all.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy, man. I already know it's gonna be insane. Oh gosh.
Man.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Take care.
Now.
Peace.